Welcome back, everybody, here for our tacos Talk About It Friday video on this Friday, as we are going to get right into it with some really fun questions. So stay tuned and see what the discussion yields for us today. Here we go! So, like we have grown accustomed to on our Talk About It Friday videos, we are going to get started with the starter. Today, friends, the starter is a really fun question, asking something that I feel like we can all relate to and things that we want to do every day. And the question is, what is something you wish you could do every single day? Now, on my list, there are plenty of crazy things, and it would be like things that I want to eat every day, places I want to go every day. You know, I might want to go to a Packer game every day. You know, sadly, the season ended last week, but if I could have my wish,
we would be there again this week.
You know, kind of thing like that. So there are plenty of things that I really have that I would want to put on this list, you know, but I could only do one thing. And you know me, I'm more of a rational person, kind of taking things in stride. I couldn't go to a Packer game every day. It just wouldn't be logistically pleasing to where I live and my gas mileage and everything like that. But I think if I could do one thing every day that would be more rational and in my wheelhouse, would be to get outside every day, you know? It's one of those things that at the beginning of the year, it was kind of a New Year's resolution to get outside.
Every single day is what I was going to tell myself.
But, you know, in the winter, it's kind of hard to do that when, especially like we've had the last few days where
it's so cold.
You don't really want to go outside. You don't want to do anything outside. And then you have to try to find things to do inside. And it's just not the same as getting out and going on a hike or going for a walk or like doing a fun sport outside. So I think if I could do one thing every day and have it be rational, I would want to get outside and do a fun activity outside every day. So that is what I would do. Let me know what you would want to do every single day if you had the option to do it. And it could be crazy, like go to a Packers game every single day or something like that. Or it could be something rational like me. We can see what is in both camps. So that is how we're going to start today. Now, friends, we are going to get back into being funny and hilarious here on our Fridays, and we are going to get straight into our comical questions. Okay, friends, the first comical question that we have today is, isn't jerky just cow raisins? Now, this is a funny way to raise this whole point because, yes, I feel like they are
both very dried up things.
So let's take into the analysis of what I can kind of think of how the process of raisins happens, which I don't know, and how the process of beef jerky happens, which I don't know. Let's take into account that, yes, they are both food items. That is point number one for them being the same. Number two would be that they are both drying processes. You know, they have where they are dehydrated in both situations, where you hang the jerky and it dehydrates and you
somehow get it to be a raisin.
I'm not really sure of the process. As you can see, it's kind of like last week when we were talking about peanut butter. I don't know. So I think we're getting to the point where there's two similarities. However, my rational side comes into play here and says that raisins can still be a fruit where beef is not, you know, a fruit ever. It's kind of a meat. So yes, if you want to be crazy and go ahead and say on this Friday,
to heck with it.
You know what? Cow raisins are what I'm going to call jerky. Fine by me. But you know what? I'm probably going to stick with the fact that beef jerky is probably not really related to raisins, as some of us would like to think. But hey, you know, have fun with it. Be irrational with it because this is our comical question. So yes, I would say that they're probably not more or less the same, but you know what?
They are kind of the same thing.
Okay, friends, the second question for our comical questions is, how does it make you feel to know that the brain named itself? Wait, what? That is a really crazy thought, to think about something actually having the ability to name it, you know, like, oh my gosh, it makes me want to have a
brain blast of all these crazy things, and you know what? My brain did name itself.
And then it brings me down to like this whole line of logic of how this question really had me thinking, like, wow, the brain did name itself. And then it had me down the line of like how everything else kind of has a name and like where that name originated. And it's all kind of crazy to think about. But don't get too hung up on it,
because it's a fun question to think about.
It might have you thinking about other things like this, and it can provide some real fun discussion for you and your friends. So when you see them next time, or if you're in class, or if you're watching this with some friends, ask them, what do you think about the brain naming itself? It's kind of crazy to think about. So those are the comical questions that we have for today. I know it's kind of short, but we're going to move on to our next question, and that is going to be where we are going to dig a little deeper. So friends, for the digging a little deeper question that we have for today, it's going to be a futuristic type of question, and it is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I know this is something that a lot of times we're asked in school. You might write this in an essay or something in English class. I know I kind of did something like that. Or, you're constantly being asked about what your future plans are. Where you're going to college? What are you going to do after high school? What are you going to do in high school? And there's always this, there's anxiety built up about where do you see yourself in 5 years? How do you even think about 5 years out? But for me, I think having the thought process to try to develop a strategy for where you see yourself in 5 years is kind of a good thing to do. And for myself personally, I know when I got out of college and I came down here and became the director of tacos, I didn't really know what kind of plan was going to be in place for me. I didn't really see where things were lining out. But now that I've kind of lived through the process of doing what I'm doing, even through 2020, I've developed more of a strategy for what I think I'm going to be moving on to. So I'd like to share some news with you guys, if you don't mind. I would like to tell you the journey that I've been on the past few months, and the journey that I've been on from a while back now. That was like 5 more years ago, and now I'm kind of living it out. So coming down to the tacos ministry, it was part of a plan in which I would eventually learn and lead into pastoral ministry. So pastoral ministry, meaning that I would be a pastor at some point in my life, leading a church. And this was a call that was presented to me when I was a high schooler, and it was something that I wasn't particularly wanting to be when I grew up. I didn't know what I wanted to be, but when someone said, be a I see ministry in the future, it kind of was like, whoa, why is that in your head? And, I've kind of grown into it, and it was part of this journey. So now I've definitely come to a place in my life where I'm comfortable with this journey, and I feel like in the next 5 years, it's going to be that process of starting and going through and completing the process of, going through and becoming and learning how to lead in the pastoral role. So that is something that I'm excited about and that I see coming down the line here in the next 5 years. I know that yours are going to be a little different than mine, a lot of different ways of going about life, but whether you're in middle school, going through high school, where do you see yourself getting in the next 5 years, and how do you see yourself at graduation? And for those of you high schoolers, where do you see yourself at life after high school? What kind of jobs do you want to think about doing? Where do you want to go to college? And what kind of things do you want to be doing when you're, a little older and 5 years older? So those are just cool things to think about. It's not to cause anxiety and stir some ruckus in your brain. It's just cause some time to think about where do you want to see yourself going, and where do you want to see yourself being a successful person, and how do you want to do life? So that is the final question that we have for today, thinking about our future and thinking about where we see ourselves in 5 years, and to dig a little deeper into where we want to be. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed our starter. I hope you enjoyed the comical questions and kind of getting a little flustered in the brain. And I hope you enjoy thinking about where you see yourself in 5 years. That is all that I have for you today, friends. I hope that you have a great rest of the Friday. I hope this week wasn't too hard on you and that you were able to have a great week of school. And we will see you back here on Monday with some more motivation. Like always, we are providing you with motivation on Monday. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you later.